but I'm just reading
Sorry. Yeah,
about what your dad, how he was splitting you and stuff.
yeah, that was mind blowing. I'm already like past.
Oh gosh. Oh,
Actually, believe it or not, things have been put pretty quiet the past 2 or 3 days. I did discover two more parts. One is Ted, because I'm really enjoying that exercise now, and I've got like a whole battle cry song now. Um, I don't know if I told you, I think I did, but when Chris and I were camping once early in our relationship, and I was, perplexed as to whether he loved me or he didn't, because he doesn't say it and whatever. And we were camping, and he was my hero when we went camping because we went out to take a little hike, and he says, "Well, let me carry your stuff." And I'd never had a man do that before. And I was like, really? It's just a tiny amount of stuff. He's like, yeah, I'll carry it. And I was just like overcome with, I was like, wow, he wants to carry my stuff. Okay. And I let him, and it was awesome. But as we were leaving there, I was still just kind of upset because he wasn't like a usual guy, a normal guy. And we're leaving the campsite and another camper had music going. And it was, I don't remember this. I didn't know the song, but it was round and around, what comes around goes round.
okay,
Uh,
you referenced
and
that.
the lyric, yeah, was love will find a way, just give it time. I felt like God was giving me that little message, just
Oh,
a
okay.
little
That's
clip. And so I was like, okay, God. And so throughout our, probably the first 6 or 10 years, I'd reference that. So God would say, love will give it time. Just, find a way, just give it time. And so I trusted that. But that song was going through my head the other day. And so I thought, well, let me look up the lyrics and see what it's actually all about. And and I played it when I was beating on Ted, and it's a heavy metal song. I didn't know when I was doing it, but the next day I went out to work on Ted too, and I popped it on. And just after the first line is out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. And then the internet cut off and it froze. And so I just kept thinking about these perps, and I'm whacking on Ted. And I'm like, that's right. It is going to be out on the streets where we meet because you're not going to be in my home anymore, you know? And
Hmm.
but yeah, it's funny because if you don't look up the words, you get a different impression of it. And I am not a heavy metal person at all. Chris is, but I'm not. Let me share here. I'll show you the lyrics. I think I saved it.
That's interesting that Chris is heavy metal. Yeah, I know. Just the intensity.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oops. And the name of the band is Rat. And so I was identifying with that as, yeah, now I'm a rat. I'm talking, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know why this is important to me right now, but out on the streets,
Well, good.
that's where we'll meet. You make the night. I always cross the line. I'm crossing the line. We have to tighten our belts. We abuse ourselves, get in our way. We'll put you on your shelf. So I'm talking to the perps. So another day, some other way, we're going to go, but then we'll see you again. I've had enough. We've had enough. Cold in vain, she said. I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. So it's like I'm talking to this female perp. I knew
Yeah.
right from the start that Oh, see, now I'm like getting confused. I knew right from the start, like she is saying to us, the good guys, the bad guys saying, I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. I knew right from the start that you'd put an arrow through my heart. It's like Satan, saying he knows you're going to win because you're Jesus.
That's right. That's
So
right.
round and round with love will find a way, just give it a time. Round and round, what comes around goes around, and I'll tell you why. Looking at you, looking at me, the way you move, you know it's easy to see. The neon lights on me tonight. I've got a way, we're gonna prove it tonight. We're gonna kick your ass. Like Romeo and Juliet, time and time, I'm gonna make you mine. I've had enough, we've had enough. It's all the same, she said. I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. It's like the mother goddess down through time. I knew it from the start you'd put an arrow through my heart. And then here's the lyric I heard as we were leaving the campground. Round and around with love, we'll find a way, just give it time. Round and round, what comes around goes around, and I'll tell you why. And then it goes back to oh wait, out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. You make the night, I always cross the line. We tighten our belts, we abuse ourselves, get in our way, and we're going to put you on your shelf. So I
Wow.
haven't found anything about this song that disturbs me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And heavy metal usually disturbs me.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's interesting. And so I've been beating up Ted to that song, and it's been good. And yesterday we made a video. I started reading my
Oh,
journal.
did you? Did
Uh,
you?
Yeah, for the first entry in October. And I decided to use that song and that line, not the whole song, because copyright issues. You know how Melissa calls it bumper music, where you have something at the beginning and something
Yeah.
at the end. And so I guess I should show you. It's a little jarring
Yeah. No, I'd like to see this. Good for you,
because
Danielle.
it's not my style, but
Yeah.
it seems right. It's like God had that thing happen in the garage, and he wants me to put that emotion and that vibe
Yeah.
into my videos. Yeah. So I was like,
Is
wow,
that
okay.
right?
Shows to publish.
Yeah.
So I have one, two, three,
Right.
four.
You'll know it's right when you find it. So this could be
Yeah, so I have 6 videos ready to go. I have 4 more.
really
So here it is.
unbelievable. Look at you. There we go.
Like I said, it's not super loud because I don't care for that, but
Ah.
well, hello again, everyone.
There, I like it. Nice little
It's kind of a jarring, I don't
yeah.
know. So
And
okay, good. And then I put that at the very end
oh,
too.
you did? Yeah, let's watch it.
Let's see. Oh,
Okay. Well done.
so not
Wow.
perfectly smooth, but I liked it.
I really like it. A nice little touch there. The swirl.
Yeah, I was looking for all sorts of transitions, but that one just seemed a real, let's go, but let's change vibe.
Yeah, and it captures a lot, right? If a picture's worth 1,000 words.
That vibe, yeah, with such a peaceful scene. It's like, I don't know. Well, it's just it is what it is. It's gonna stay that way. So I think you got a copy of this, right? With the colors and
Oh,
the
you know what I did now? Sorry, where am I
this
dropping?
might have been what I worked on after I sent all that.
I was going to say I didn't see that one, but then again, what I'm finding is the latest batch. Um, But anyways, let's go through it. No, I didn't see this one.
Oh, well, I took out the harsh lines because they're not in their tight groups anymore. They can go
There we
out and
go. That's nice.
wander now. So I thought I liked the idea of getting rid of the harsh lines and giving them a little color.
Yep, that's really good.
And then these guys,
Oh,
this
that's good.
guy was added this morning. You'll hear about
Oh,
him.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot over here, I added Ted. And I picked this girl because she's hugging Ted. All the other
Where,
pictures
where,
are
where, where is it, Diana? I'm not seeing. Here,
um
where's
oh, right
Ted?
here. Over here on the right, low
Oh, there we go. I got you. I got you.
yeah, he's
Oh, that's
Ted.
good.
I still have to get his font and color and stuff, but I like the picture. I didn't get to finish that,
Perfect. Perfect.
but last night, well, the day before, I had no real activity other than I'd sit down outside and have a cigarette in the chair that Knight likes to sit in, and the parts chit chat there.
Yeah.
And and so that's what we did the video. And I spent the whole day working on videos. I went back to all those other five
Wow.
videos and I put the bumper music in
Yeah.
and just kind of tightened them up. And then last night as I was going to bed, I saw this image, except it's the night before I was laying on my side, with the pillows and my hand right here. And I felt the part that I thought was called Tasmania, but that was not right. Anyway, hold my hand. And he was the part not showing me himself, but he was holding my hand. He said, "I'm here, just not ready to go there yet." And I was
Good.
like, okay. And so then the next night, and I had a good night's sleep and a nice day. And then the last night, I'm laying there again, and again he held my hand, and he says, "Well, I suppose I can show you." And it was the image of the Baphomet. And I had just done a signs and symbols video about 2, 3 weeks ago on the Baphomet and what he meant and blah, blah, blah. And except he wasn't a scary Baphomet. He had kind eyes. And he goes, "This is me." I was like, okay. And at the time I thought his name was Tasmania, but this morning he corrected me.
Oh,
Um, so it did say Tasmania there, but it's no, his name's Black Brother, and you'll know why once I read through this. He has showed me his face. He looks like the Baphomet, but when he looked at me, his eyes were soft. Earlier today, I thought about him. He's the one that rounds everyone up. He uses Scratchy, who's spinning, whirling, and running around, constantly keeping everyone in their place and keeping everyone quiet. He's on overwatch, as Chris would say. If anyone got out of order or talked, he would reinforce the appropriate wall and activate the guard. File clerk keeps track of the details. So she is a firefighter. She takes the details and tucks them away into a file cabinet.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Trish tells everyone where to go and who to be with. So she organizes the groups so they don't intermingle. Siggy negotiates the deals. Fatty gives them their bribes. And Knight keeps a lid on things with force. That just all hit me last night. He says, "But I keep those five in order. I have to know everyone. I have to know everything. I am Big Brother." So at first I thought I put an image of Big Brother from 1984, the book.
Ah,
And he's like, "Well, but when I dictated it into my phone, it dictated as Black Brother." And I
oh, is that right?
and I almost changed it to Big, and he's like, "No, I'm the Black Brother, in the black robe." And with the Baphomet face, that's why I found a picture where he's all black. I am the Big Brother devil. Scratchley simply took my technique and used my skills for his world. He says, "I run around and I'm constantly looking over everyone in every world." That's the little circles. and get the guards to put them back in their spaces. Yes, there are 5 walls, and I read those out. He
Huh,
says, I'm quite exhausted. I relinquish my command. That's what he said.
is that right?
He said, I am Black Brother. I'm the final word. I keep everyone in their corral. Once you let Scratchy chat with Jesus, I was set free. I am the embodiment of all the perpetrators combined. I carry all of them, whereas as the parts carry each of their own or in groups. When you changed the map and took away the borders and gave them color and made them transparent, everyone is free to mingle and talk. That
Oh,
eliminated my job. Now I can rest. So thank you. And I said, thank you, Black Brother. And this morning, he says, he told me this morning that before I left the castle, he whispered in my ear, meaning that black robed, super tall guy,
yeah, yeah.
and this is where he was born. I am the Black Brother. I know all, see all, and command life and death. I am God. This was more impactful because I was an adult now and I understood more. The same as the Big Brother in The World from 1984. I should put the book. And it's funny because I just did George Orwell for Melissa's channel, and it was 4 different videos because Alan talked about him so much. And so I had to keep looking up photographs of the book, and there's Big Brother, 5,000 different images of Big Brother. It's like, wow.
Huh.
So, I mean, maybe he's not fully fleshed out, but I think when that black robed man after Bullet was petrified and thought she was going insane, that, and he made that last comment to me, I am the black big brother, the Black Brother, I think maybe is what he said. I am big, oops, brother, the Black Brother. I know also I am God. So, yeah, I thought that was, I don't know, it's just cool, but I've just felt very calm and relaxed
And this just came to
and
mind, Diana,
good.
where it says Black Brother.
Uh-huh.
I'll just say it. Do you think
Okay.
that could be Obama that was actually
Oh, what do you mean?
that
In
was at the
Germany?
cast?
Oh, I have no
I've seen a
idea.
picture of him in a costume with horns on, and he's tall.
And because they painted me with the horns. I never, I don't know, I've never even knew that. Let's see what images we get. I like Google Images because Brave does, oh shoot, Brave doesn't give me very good ones.
Obama with horns on, or he apparently was participating in some.
Obama with horns and black robe. I guess we could look at the year. I know, look at, I mean, I've seen
There,
this image a
over
lot.
on the left.
Oh, well, it was certainly wasn't that costume. I know that. Um,
Anyway,
let's
I was
see.
just curious because it's interesting that he would say I'm Black Brother, and then to see the rise of how
Obama in
quickly he was brought into power.
19, wait, I know, 1985 through 1986. So he was there during that time period.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
I just
Because I
got
wonder how
shot.
tall he is.
Well, let's find out. AGI.
Because you said he stood much taller than most of the guys, right? Most of the people.
Yeah, and if, yeah, I don't know, height of Obama. He's 6'5", 6'1". Yeah, Chris is
Oh,
six
that's not bad.
4.
Okay.
Maybe he was there. Who knows? in Himmler's castle. I mean, I should probably look.
Look at that picture over, a
Oops.
couple over. Sorry, he's all chummy with two more over. Yeah,
Angela Merkel.
look at how he's sitting.
Yeah,
Who sits like that?
isn't that Christine Lagarde, the IMF president?
Who sits like that
I know.
as the president of the United States?
I
Oh,
know. The
wait,
only other people crossing their legs like that are
isn't that
women.
the princess of like the Netherlands or
Her?
yeah.
I think it's Christine Lagarde. She's the head of one of the world banks. Christine
Wow.
Lagarde. I
Okay,
think it's
all right.
her.
Okay, look at how he's sitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Look, he's got his arms around it. And who's next to who's
That's
on the
Angela
opposite?
Merkel, the head of
And who's
Germany.
the other guy right next to him?
I don't know.
In between him and Angela Merkel.
Oh, is that David Cameron? But why? Yeah, maybe
Was
so.
that Australia?
No,
No,
that
that would
was,
be England. That was a form.
but he was after Tony Blair,
Okay.
after or below or before.
But look at how I've, have you ever said, it's the same guy
No,
that
I have not.
props his feet up on the desk in the
Well,
Oval
and
Office?
you know what's fascinating is last night I watched just something for fluff, and it was a liberal show. It's David Letterman's new thing on Netflix. It's called David Letterman uh, Presents, and they need no introduction, something like that. But he was interviewing Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, she's like 30 years old. Now, I had previously watched this other guy called Mr. E, and he doesn't hate trannies, but he exposes them. All these women, and he's convinced that Miley Cyrus is a man based on her bone structure and her
Oh,
build, because he'll show you how a man's a man's shoulders are the exact same width as his head, right? But a woman's is only 2/3. Her shoulders are narrower. And he'll show you the fingers and just the waistline and things like that. And he's convinced Miley Cyrus is a man. So as I'm watching that, I'm looking at the ankles, I'm looking at this, and I froze the screen and I went like this with my hands. And he's right. Her shoulders are a man's shoulders. And I thought, well, maybe she had surgery when she was, just a kid. And But she was sitting exactly the way Obama is sitting right now. I thought, what woman slouches like that? And she was sitting there with her legs crossed, and she's all beautiful. And I'm like really kind of like
oh,
really looks, but she was sitting exactly like that. That was the part that got me. I thought, I don't know. Men sit like that, I think, but I don't. I anyway, but you're right. He's gay. You know he's gay, right?
yeah. And Michael.
And if you and this Mr. E, he's on Odyssey. They don't he's on BitChute and Odyssey. It's just Mr. MR and then the letter E. So mystery, but Mr. E. And
Uh,
he if you should look in there for your trans stuff. I'll send you a link.
yeah,
He
yeah.
does a thing with Joan Rivers. And a reporter walks up to Joan Rivers and says, what do you think about the first gay president or
Oh,
something?
okay. This was just days before she dies.
Yes. But
The
she
surgery.
spins around and says, oh, get over yourselves. We all know Obama's gay, right? And then, yeah, she died shortly after that,
Yeah,
or was killed, we should say.
yeah. Wow.
But after that video on Mr. E's channel, I'll send you the link. Let me write this down. Oops. Mr. E. There's a woman, he clipped her video onto the back of that one and says she explains how a man's ring finger is taller than his middle finger, and Michelle Obama has that. He explains the head and the shoulder dimensions and how there's a head height. A woman has, I think, her body length is 6 times the length of her head, and a man's is 7 times the length of her head. And they just explained bone structure, a woman's bone structure and a man's bone structure. So that if you're looking at someone, and I usually do it with the shoulders because it's easy so you can freeze frame. There's a difference. There's really a difference, and you can see it with just an outright transvestite and a woman you're not sure. And that channel goes through all the different wives of presidents. You'll be gobsmacked if you go through his channel. And they're short, sweet. They're like anywhere from 5 to 15 or 20 minutes. So it's not a huge investment of time. But yeah. But I'm going to dig into this Obama stuff and see.
As a matter of fact, look at the picture of it's probably the Japanese prime minister behind Obama.
Here.
The picture that you have up there that's enlarged.
Oh, let me move
I
this.
mean, those are normal dignitaries behind him. Look at it, right? Well, look at how properly they're dressed. But Obama said, well, that's supposedly President of the United States.
Yeah. I wonder if we could.
It's surreal.
I know. I'm going to leave this tab open and fish around. But I think that's Christine Lagarde.
Yeah.
That's David Cameron. And Angela Merkel. I don't know who that is. But I have
Well,
more
it's like,
news.
is that Trudeau? No, that's not Trudeau. It almost looks
No,
somebody else.
all we have to do is look up a list of the
Yeah,
G7
yeah,
for this year and figure it out. But Angie has been going into a meltdown for the past 10 days
oh,
because her boyfriend, his father died. I think I told you, and she hadn't heard from him.
oh, yeah. Okay.
But she called me Saturday night. Then I had the great night's sleep the night before. I was very calm and relaxed
Right.
all day. So when she called me, I wasn't, tense or anxious or anything. And so we just chit-chatted. We probably spent the first 20 minutes on her, meltdown. And then, I talked her off the ledge and we started talking about other stuff. And she said that she was going to start going, she had a plan to go back to Milwaukee in a certain month. I think it's September, but that she was going to stop by and see Ruth. Now that's my dad's wife, his widow. And I said, really? I said, I called her a second time and I asked her for Cheryl's number again. Lo and behold, John, Angie said, well, let me look and see if I have it. Remember the first time I asked her, she refused and said she didn't
Yeah,
have it?
yeah.
Well, this time she at least tried in her Facebook and stuff. I said, well, if you're in the mood, throw her something out on Facebook and let her know I'm interested in chatting with her. And well, I'll see if you get a response or something. Feel free to give her my phone number.
There you go.
And then I said, well, if you're going to go see Ruth, where am I at here? Perps. I said, ask her. Oh, I said, well, I'm thinking this is finally my chance to ask her about Ruth's children because you had asked me.
Wow.
I said, well, I thought they were 5 or 10 years older than us. Well, guess what? They're not. They're 5 or 10 years younger than us. Avers Perps. Let me see. Where did I put this? Oh, there was the rat thing. Oh, geez. Where did I put it? And then I also asked her about Dad and Belgium. I guess I'll get into that right here. Dad did go to Belgium. And she remembers I said, why would he talk about Belgium in the middle? She goes, no, he went to Belgium for his job when we were little. He worked at a place called H.O. Bostrom. Ho, right? Ho. And so I type it in. Let me move this down. And I find, guess what?
Okay,
Where
sure.
is it? Oh, I took a screenshot because it wouldn't let me. Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong place. Dad and Belgium. Guess what, John? A matchbook cover. A matchbook cover. Now, the three or four,
What?
yes, look at it. Bostrom, this is the company he worked for. And it says, this is riding, first and finest in human engineered seating. That's what they made with seats for the military, for fighter jets, for, the cockpit for cranes and trains and semi trucks. And my dad sewed. Why would they send him to Belgium? He sewed
Yeah,
cloth
yeah,
onto
yeah.
seats. And I was mentioning this to my neighbor. He says, no, back then engineers did more than just that. They did the whole thing from start to finish. So my dad's designing seats for the military industrial complex and whoever his boss required of him, right? So I'm looking up the company, H.O. Bostrom Company. Here it is. If for fire trucks, all these seating solutions, I didn't go any further than that. They're a global manufactured standard and configurable ergonomic seating systems. Now, I kept looking all over the place for different addresses or phone numbers for this worldwide Bostrom company. There's only one, and its headquarters are in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. So I'm like, okay, I'm fishing around this website. I get the address. Look at their address, 818 Progress Avenue. They're all about progress, the elite, progressing to the transhuman state. You know about that, right? The transhumanism stuff
Yeah.
and turning people half machine, half robot, chimeras, and all that shit. And the eights are a big deal to them too. So it's like, wow, okay. 818 Bostrom, that kind of stuck out to me. And then I'm scrolling down about who we are. This guy was one of the perps. This,
Wow.
this is the head, the father of that company, and these are his children.
No,
And he's
okay.
still alive.
Now, what do you, okay, hold on, let's back up here just for a second. So I obviously understand English, but let's
I'm
slow
sorry.
down. Okay,
It's like,
did
I
you
kept, I was like,
recognize
oh my
him?
God.
You recognized him?
I do. I do.
In what
From the
context?
lodge, from the lodge. And I think from throwing off his cape and changing clothes and stuff or whatever, but I know his face. And Dad didn't take us to work with him. We didn't go to their house for dinner with the boss's wife. That man is a part of my father's Masonic lodge, which until I saw him, I didn't know my dad went to a Masonic lodge, or maybe it was a coven, a witch coven. I don't know. But that dude he's one of them. He's one of them.
Oh, maybe it's time for Chris
And
and you to go pay him a visit.
he's alive. Yeah. They didn't close the company. He handed it down to his children about, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. I don't want to look at him anymore. Right now, there's a part in me saying we should prosecute him. And the other part saying, it'll never stick. There's a little argument happening about that. So anyway, I'm digging around in Bostrom and it
You know
linked.
what? You wonder, right, if you could find a good law enforcement to start doing some digging on. If you got a name and a face,
Well, but here's the thing too. In Wisconsin, the statute of limitations for that kind of crime is 30 years. I'm 57. So by the time when I was 27, he was out of the picture.
how about a civil lawsuit?
Oh, I don't know. I can guarantee you Chris isn't going to want to go there.
Okay.
He'd rather go shoot him,
No,
but
I'm
not a
good with
legal
that.
battle.
I'm good with
So
that.
I'm fishing around in their website and it links me to this company, Craft Co. Department of Defense. Right? This company collaborates with Bostrom and they're connected with the Department of Defense. Kraft has been a key partner as we revolutionize our approach to risk and resilience at the Department of Defense. Moreover, Kraft has been instrumental in centralizing crucial company intelligence and due diligence, fostering a new era of collaboration within our ranks through centralized commenting, threading, and documentation. So I wonder if this was Dad's connection to that CIA dude through his company,
Oh.
right? And oh, that was the same one. But if you go into their company,
I mean, does Chris know anybody that is still in IT or something that can hack into that guy?
oh, he does. There's a guy Chris worked with who was a Navy intelligence
There we go.
in his past, wound up doing IT, and he left about a year ago, and now he's working with cable companies.
Tell Chris you've got one of the perpetrators there.
Oh, wow. But anyway, this is what this Kraft company does. Look at this, 500 data points. Get a complete picture of the supplier health. So Bostrom would have been their supplier. So over 500 data points across crucial risk categories. So you know they're doing background checks on every single living soul, right? Cybersecurity, environmental, geopolitical. So that involves the politicians' financial, banking, right. So but I could not find any connection with that company in Belgium, but that's where his company sent him. And so I wonder if it was because of the last name. Because that name, AVER, remember with the crest?
Yeah.
Was common, and I don't know if it originated there, but it's a big deal there. And I told Angie that. I said, I was digging around about our name and the history, and I said, yeah, Avers is some like royal family in Belgium. I said they don't use the S. I said, but I think they in there it's stated when the S is at the end of the name, it means son of. I said, so I wonder if Dad wasn't like the bastard child of one of these royalty. She cracked up laughing. She was roaring. But this is what really took my breath, not took my breath away, but well, yeah, it did. I was kind of like, are you kidding me? Matchbooks. Matchbooks.
Wow.
I don't even know what this UOP is because when Dad worked there, it was HO, like ho, like a whore, ho, HO Bostrom. So I'm sure, I mean, yeah, the owner of that company, there's no way he could get the kind of involvement worldwide with those types of jobs without being a Mason of some sort or in the club, so to speak. And if you're in the club, you're practicing Satanism and pedophilia, period. That's just my opinion.
No, that's becoming clear.
Yeah, yeah. And also Avers Perps. This is just oh, and look what else I found when I was looking for the name in Milwaukee.
No.
Except it's got an apostrophe, like
Yeah.
the royalty, AVER apostrophe S. Gourmet
Oh,
pizza, pizza, like the pizza scandal in DC. They
and
were
that
closed for a year.
that almost looks like a phallic symbol.
Oh my God, I didn't even see that.
Who's going to put that?
Well, it's a pizza cutter. But yeah, you're right. They love their phallic symbols. And so that blew me away. So I'm like, okay, well, there's probably a whole nother tunnel under there where they're moving children in and out and ordering, can I have three Mexicans and two black and one, how, they order that shit.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And I looked up Dad's obit again. There's a couple and here's one. You don't really need to read that. I was kind of like, wish they hadn't put me, Angie, and Mary's name in there, but they did. but underneath were comments. Rest in the grace, arms of Jesus.
Oh,
Right, grandfather to 5, so he's counting Mary's children as his grandchildren, and he's never met them ever. Mary will not ever go there. Now here's the interesting thing. Ruth's children's name are Donald, Vicky, and Michael Pickle Sanford. Now, Michael is the youngest of the 3. So that would make him 8 years younger than me. So when mom divorced when I was 11, that would make him like 3 or 4 or 5,
wow.
right? And he's the one Angie mentioned like a decade ago that there were rumors that dad was abusing him.
Does this show that he died? Is that what the date?
Yes. Yeah. He died. Angie told me, I jotted it down on a notepad and I haven't showed you yet, but he died of cancer. Apparently he was unhealthy and sickly his entire life.
Yeah.
And when he became an adult, he died around 30. He went and worked with my dad in his shop. And Angie said that dad was going to hand down the shop to him when dad passed away, but Michael died first. I think that he did abuse Michael.
Yeah, no wonder he would get sick. He didn't have the ability to split. Now,
Mhm.
why are the various names in parentheses? Is that spouses?
Michelle, Donald, yeah, Donald, Michelle, Vicky, and Mike James. Yeah, that would make sense. It's funny because he knew nothing about us. He didn't know Mary's husband's name, didn't know I'm married.
Oh,
'Cause they
yeah.
would have put that in there, right? Knew nothing. And this is the name of his company, Sun Bias Incorporated. They worship the sun. Their sun
I was gonna
worship.
say, who's going to create a name like that? Sun bias.
Exactly. He is, I mean, you know the connection between Lucifer and the sun, right? And all the pagan religions, how they worship the sun, and their god is, Lucifer is the light. Freemasonry is, when they take the mask off, we've shown you the light. It's the sun, Lucifer, the light, the sun. So sun bias, he has a bias for Lucifer. That's how I read that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just did textiles across the country, private burial. So the next line after that were the comments. He was the coolest guy, a mentor, friend, inspired me to be a better businessman in general. Um, Helped me to not only grow my business, but myself as well. Really? His wealth of knowledge and wisdom. God bless you, buddy. Glad we got to hug it up. Blah blah blah. See you.
Wow.
Plane of existence.
Wow.
Right? I'll see you in the next one. I'm sure you are already innovating heaven and maximizing productivity.
What a freak.
Right? And here's another Dennis Hill. This was his business
Oh,
partner in the shop.
here we go. Committed. Yeah, what gospel?
Right? The less fortunate
Oh, what?
nations in
What?
prisons. Why is my dad? I never knew my dad were going to prisons, but I have his phone number. I can call him and talk to him.
Yes, I'm curious here.
Wauwatosa Bible Chapel. Yeah, we look forward to that day. In the presence of our Savior, that could be their devil man.
Yeah, yeah.
And look at the date, the 13th of April. It's
Wow.
like, that might not mean anything at all, and then there's a couple more. Spoke with you on Good Friday. You laughed, you're talkative, you're good spirits. I'm so happy I was able to see you, spend time. Ben, we'll miss you. Prayers. We'll always have so many memories of Ken and our families together. So I'm going to look up this guy. He'll be
Yeah,
missed.
yeah.
So he died on April 4/3, and Alan died on 3/4 the next year. Isn't that interesting? The man
What?
I wanted to be my father, Alan Watt, died on March 4th, So 3/4, and my real father died the year prior on 4/3. I was like, are you kidding, God? It's like,
Look at the comment, that top comment. Look how it ends.
I know. I did notice that too. Thank God you knew Lord. Who? The Lord who? So I gotta look him up too. Because these could all be perps,
Yeah.
you know? And there's obit DD214. Oh, this is that star. I saw it in the movie Rosemary's Baby. It's very faint. But this is that star that mom was laid on in her ritual where she was raped 13 times. When you put the body on here, that makes the 5th point of the star. And their arms and legs, you see the straps? Their arms and legs are strapped to the star. And when I saw that, Melissa had a clip in my interview
Can you
with
increase the size
Rosemary's
of that?
Baby.
Anna, can you increase the size of that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
And where was this from?
In the movie Rosemary's Baby. In the interview Melissa did of me, we got into the SRA and she was showing movie clips. This was one of them. When I saw that, I went, "Oh." Now, mom's wasn't, an inch tall like this. It was more of a fabric or like a tarp, I think, so as they could roll up the blood and stuff and take it away. Because afterwards they had a cleanup crew cleaning the sand and flushing all the blood out into the water and all that. But when I saw that, and in the movie, you'll see later on a person strapped down, but it's obscured, and I couldn't get a full picture of it until I got this one. So yeah. This was my grandma's helper, her daughter Elnora, my aunt. Creepy. Ugh, I shudder when I see that.
It's one of the perps.
And Elnora, oh, this is my grandma and their gravestone. Yeah, my elbow is shaking right now.
Really?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
seeing your aunt's picture?
Okay. It just any of this. Yeah. The SR now this is that SRA thing I was telling you about that Emma showed on her show that they put into
No way.
public schools. Yeah.
SRA reading lab.
Yes, yes. And I took I
I
copied
remember you mentioned it, but now that I see this stupid thing,
I copied and pasted
wow.
information about it off of the
Wow.
internet, right? So I'm reading down here and it goes through all the nonsense of you start at this level and go to that level and blah 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 blah. And then guess what? The credits. The old SRA cards were not programmed instructions via machine. They were still programmed instructions in terms of process, if not philosophy, the fixed set curriculum, the reading. But look who
What?
Skinner. Skinner, programmed instructions is a phrase coined by B.F. Skinner, and the SRA cards are in many ways a behaviors educational tool, relying heavily on positive reinforcement, with just a few exceptions, fulfilling the educational psychology's definition of a teaching machine. The development and commercialization of Parker's multi-level reading cards occurred just as Skinner's ideas were becoming popularized, commercialized, just as Skinner himself was also trying to convince publishers and IBM to develop program materials for teaching machine.
Wow. Wow.
Right? IBM acquired them in
Wow.
64.
Yeah, and what is IBM doing with this?
Well, you know that IBM was what kept track of all the prisoners during Nazi Germany, right? Did you
I
know
knew they
that?
were involved, but you just reminded me of what they were.
There's a whole book written by a man,
Wow.
IBM and the Holocaust. IBM was a major player in the Holocaust. IBM had already developed test scoring machines in 30 and was an assignee for the patents of one of Skinner's devices.
Now, what,
And
yeah, what devices did Skin, I didn't even know he created devices.
I didn't either, but apparently he did, or his ideas informed and shaped their development.
He's got a patent of one of Skinner's devices. I didn't even know Skinner
I don't have the,
had
oh,
devices.
can I link there? Oh, I can. Yay.
I mean, I'm in the
Teaching
field.
machine.
What is this thing?
Now I remember I showed you, I
Teaching machine.
sketched a machine. Where did it go?
Oh, you'll scroll down a little bit further. Okay, so yeah, let's check out these machines here.
Oh, as I zoom, oh, there it goes. It's very blurry. But the machine that I sketched is similar to this, except this side was facing you. Yeah, teaching reading for increasing the rate of reading rate control. Let's move. Oh, shoot. Engineering. Oh, dang it.
Okay, so what is a guy who is
Yay.
a psychologist?
Because they want to program the whole of the world. That's what Skinner, Freud, Pavlov, all those guys, Cameron, from that time period, their assigned role by the upper elite, the
Teaching machine.
is to reprogram humanity.
Now,
And this
why
is
is
one
it?
of them.
No, I went to grad school, never once heard of the teaching machine.
I didn't either. But when I read it, I was like, Skinner, are you kidding me? He was a major influence in your field. Inventor Skinner, Burris, Frederick.
Why had we never been told that he
I should
was an
download this
inventor?
PDF. Who knows? Because they want to keep it all secret. We'll put Skinner teaching machine.
Teaching machine.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
I know.
I
Okay.
wasn't commenting on
So
what you're writing. It's just I was thinking
yeah, no, I know. I guess I'll put
where's
that with
this? The
that.
teaching machine.
But yeah, here's the pet. That's probably the pet.
What does it have a handle? I mean, what do you do in this
That
thing?
was that's similar to the one I had. Yeah, and then paper would roll out the back. Do you remember my sketch? Where? Oh, see,
And
now I'm gonna have to find it.
what's the purpose?
I don't know. I don't know. I went through here. Oh, okay, where's the batches? See, I need to label. Let's see where this is. Okay, so it's earlier than this. That was where Wolf went to training camp, or Wolf was born at training camp, and they were testing me for psychic abilities and stuff. Not yet. May have to go running.
I'm gonna say, is that where they did the remote viewing kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go get my sketchbook and show you. I'm blown away it's not here. Maybe it's earlier.
Yeah, go get the sketchbook.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh. Here we go.
Okay, now hold on. I'm absorbing this thing here.
I'm
Okay,
sure you are.
right. The sentences under this picture right here. So the overlay, I'm just reading the
Oh,
behind.
pleasure of
The
moving.
pleasure of moving on and up into the next color. There are a few stories from struggling readers, those stuck reading. Okay,
Here,
now,
let me
since when do you need a
show you
machine
this.
instead of phonics? It's phonics you teach. What's a stupid machine gonna do?
I don't know.
The behavior I learned, burn through the cards as quickly as possible, and once you finish the last color, what is it? Purple, the teacher shrugs and lets you choose your own reading.
Yeah, that's the design of this
Burn
class,
it through it. They speak of the pleasure of moving on and up to the next color. Okay, this is a bunch of crap.
right? You
You
need to
teach
read this
phonics.
whole thing. I need to send you this copy of this. But yeah, so I still shudder at the thought of having to choose a reading assignment from among these multicolored tabs in the big box at the back of my elementary school classroom. These were put into public schools. Um,
I still shudder. Okay, so this is a person who
mhm.
taught. Oh
No, I
no,
think
to
this
live
is a
through it.
student. I believe this is a student that wrote this.
Okay, here I was facing 32 rural seventh graders not knowing what to do. It was necessity to start to hatch a plan in the back of my head. The school didn't have any money. By cutting these books into
Oh, maybe it
separate,
is a teacher.
I could have let the student
Oh,
keep it.
sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, this is bizarre.
He
So
was a
what's the machine?
psychologist. Yeah.
Okay, show me the sketch. Yeah, I mean, what's
And here's this is the tan color tab, and this is what you would read. Tarzan's blood-curdling cry still carries. Why is it blood-curdling? Um, Let me know when you want me to move out.
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But SRA, unbelievable. They
And look
just
how cheap they were. $40. Anybody could buy these off the shelf. My dad had one, and
okay.
I wonder if he didn't get a different version.
Okay, so this would be a little reading structure thing, but what's the darn box about?
Oh, that's the name of the company, the SRA Reading Laboratory. I forget.
I'm sorry, but the machine with the handle that
I don't,
Skinner created,
I don't know.
SRA cards.
Yeah, I'll send you the
The
education
motivation behind many teaching machines. Huh. SRA. Unbelievable.
I know. They're purposefully designed as an alternative to whole class instruction so students could focus on activities aimed at their particular reading level. And this person goes into talking about how it was a class structure. And the teacher assigned you your color. So if you were a certain color, you were considered a dumb idiot.
Oh yeah, everybody could figure that out.
If you were aqua blue, you were a genius. And
Yeah.
I think I was in that aqua blue or one of those levels. Oh, oh, well, profit. Okay. Um, oh, so yeah, and they're questioning you about what you read and how well you learned it. Image credits, and this is where the thing where Skinner comes in.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link to the
Yeah.
SRA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder. Well, I don't want to go through. I don't want
Yeah. No, that's fine. That's fine.
to. Okay, yeah, I'll send you the links. But I was like, are you kidding?
Can I see the sketch that you drew?
Oh, yeah, of course. Let me close that out, close that out. Let me go back here. I'm still like getting used to this. Okay,
Yeah.
here it is.
Okay.
So mine had handles here and here to move the paper forward. And then there's another one, the next one, where we're all in a class. Now, pay attention to the length of the paper falling out of the machine.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And this is training camp pictures. I will send that again. And then I guess you didn't get these. This was those cards.
Okay.
So I'm blindfolded and I got to pick one of the cards.
And you remember doing that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously,
I mean, these images, yeah. Not a whole lot after that, but
why
this
your
was,
memory, yeah.
I was drawing a picture. That line is a wall. And there was something in the other room or behind the wall of the building I was supposed to draw, and I drew it. Those were the Claire entries. Oh, and here's the next one. This is about feeling the pain of someone else being pinched in another room. There's a wall there.
Can you remember feeling it?
Yeah, yeah. I put the little, I guess you can see it.
Yeah.
That one and that one. Yeah, like you said, I think you said that Susan can feel
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So I thought that was just kind of mind blowing. There you go. I'm like, wow. Um, it's funny because I look and find these things and I have my own realizations, but when I talk to you, then they're like amplified even more. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
cow. But yeah, as I was opening up that file with the perp thing, my elbow was shaking. Did you read about smoke?
Okay. Yes. Yeah. A cig and smoke. Okay.
They're having a little
I was
battle.
kind of
And
laughing, not laughing at the cars. It's just
right,
what a
right. But
tremendous,
here's that led me to this memory. Oh,
okay.
that's working on Ted.
What,
Oh,
smoke
she
grilling
showed me.
go. Oh, yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah, she showed me why
Oh,
the
I
skin
started to
on my
read
knee is
this.
peeling.
You
Yeah,
put a bag over your head and stuff.
that's her dad taped her to the leg of the chair with the duct tape. The first time he smothered her with a bag, that was mind blowing to me. What he would do is he would take this clear plastic bag and blow smoke in it, like some cancer patients do to inhale marijuana, filled it up with smoke and then put it over my head and uh taped it, I believe. I was taped to the chair, duct tape, and I would breathe this in, and as you're breathing it in, the bag's getting closer and closer. So I'm being drugged at the same time as I'm being suffocated. And he would take me just to, I mean, I would bite in that chair. And he would stick pins in me and give me programs of some sort. And he was fishing around in that SRA box. Like I said, I don't think it's the exact same. It's the same, built the same way with the windmill. But I wonder if the cards in there weren't programming for SRA stuff specifically and not just about a reading tool. They could take the technology and change the information, and here's level one, here's level two, here's level three, and the CIA or Satanists or whoever could have different boxes, but they're $40 off the shelf in 1970. So what does he drop? $100 and get the more potent version? I don't know.
But
Uh,
you remember him fishing around in the
yes,
box?
Yes, in and out with cards, in and out with cards. Yeah, he was reading instructions and
Oh
he'd
my gosh.
fish out the next card. Yeah, I
And
believe
so
that.
here they put them in schools, so kids are those kids that are being perped on go to school, and there's the box.
Hmm. And the children who are not being perped on are also getting like a low-level training to look the other way, perhaps, or think people are crazy if something is mentioned. So they're training a whole population with these boxes, and it's the public school, right? Which I'm sure the elite schools have different stuff, maybe not that, but they've got their own level of training. But yeah, the skin on my knee was peeling as her dad taped her leg to the chair with duct tape. The first time he smothered her with the bag, he taped her down at the ankles and wrists. He happened to get close enough for her to fling her knee into his balls. He got really pissed off at that, and I paid for it later. Rather, Pins paid for it. But from that point forward, he would tie down my knees and elbows and wrists and ankles. When he pulled it off, he did it slowly so as to pull on the skin. He said, that'll teach you to fuck with me. And that's the end of that entry. So yeah, yeah. I kept, because I was smoking and I kept seeing smoke in my face and I was coughing up a lung that whole night. I like for an hour and a half. And then I woke up in the middle of the night at like 2 or 3 in the morning, coughing up again. And then the next morning, and I was like, oh my God, that's when I switched cigarettes, something lighter. I was like, holy crap. But yeah, I needed to do that. Or I guess Siggy has different levels with different levels of thickness of cigarettes somehow.
Yeah.
Like in Germany, I smoked menthol cigarettes. And then when I got to El Paso, I switched to non-menthol. Then I got out of the army, I switched brands again. When I met Chris, I think I switched brands again. So I think it's the different parts have different programming levels with the difference. I thought, should I go
Oh.
get some menthol cigarettes and see what happens? You know,
And tell me again, so the menthol, I mean, I certainly have heard of it. What's the difference between menthol and non-menthol?
menthol has mint in it. It
Oh, oh, oh.
tastes like it it's not so much the taste, but there's a different chemical in it. And in the military in Germany, everybody smoked menthols. They smoked cools. And cools are a
Oh,
very heavy, thick, hard cigarette. So I tried that and I went to Cool Lights. And then I went to Virginia Slims because they have a menthol brand. And then I switched from Virginia Slim menthols to regulars. And then I Virginia Slim Lights. And then Marlboro Lights. And there's this progression of brands, which I
oh,
thought was really fascinating for me. So that was that. Save. Dixie, we could go through that, but it's just cute, sweet stuff, and it's wonderful. I think at the very end, the part, so Dixie is the part of me that gets to have a baby. I'm constantly loving on her, kissing her, and picking her up. She knows just how to back up when she sees my arms coming for her if she's not in the mood to be picked up.
oh,
That is, I'm constantly checking on her when we are asleep to make sure she is covered. We have a kiss fest every night as we go to sleep. We have a kiss fest every morning when we wake up. And if she needs to wake me up, she used to come and walk on me because she's so little. Now I feel her get up. Now I just feel her get up like
yeah.
a mother would. Um, when she needs to go out at night. Oh no, that's wrong. At night when she needs to get in bed because it's dark, I could feel her and I turn the light on for her, just enough for her to jump up and then she lays down. Chris
Huh.
always makes sure to have a flashlight so that she can see in the dark. He'll walk her down the hall with a flashlight. And he insists that when I take her outside at night, that I have a flashlight. He said it makes her feel safe. So Chris is her baby too. I'm mama. When I talk to her, I come on, mama wants you to this. And when Chris comes over, says, is daddy home? Is daddy home? So we're mama and daddy to
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's just a story. I just wanted to remember her story. Scratchy. Now this I told you, the Emma's video and then the whole Scratchy story. He's the firewall. I just wanted to record that.
Yeah.
Scratchy is also the one, he's like a master at hiding. I discovered that. Yeah, he's a master at hiding.
Now, being defined as,
Um, hiding himself
okay, I got you.
behind others, behind making me think he's somebody else.
Yeah, I got you.
Um, oh, this was interesting about smoking. It says it takes me back to when I was in my apartment in Dallas living alone. I was a smoker and I remember sitting in my tub realizing if I didn't stop, it was going to kill me. I chose between cigarettes and death, so I quit. I believe I had 7 packs of cigarettes in my carton sitting on top of the refrigerator at the time. I quit for 4 years. And then I remember I was at Best Buy, did not smoke for 1 year. I remember going out with the guys for a break at work that did smoke because I like to be able to get the secondhand smoke
Hmm.
from them. So I wasn't really quit. They liked it because it made me kind of like them, but they also thought it was weird because I was not a smoker. One of the smokers was a man named Pete. We were notified that he had committed suicide, just out of
Oh,
the blue. He left behind his wife and 2 children. None of us could understand it because he seemed lighthearted and fine. He always made us laugh. I was sitting in my apartment sad about it, and I thought, well, I'll go have a drink and a smoke on Pete. I said, here's to you, Pete. I had a rum and coke and a cigarette. I had 1 cigarette. Of course, within a
wow.
week, I was back to a pack a day. I was a smoker again. But the fascinating thing about it was that I did not need the inhaler anymore. I had come to California, quit smoking, and I'm coughing up a lung all the time. I went to the doctor and they gave me 2 inhalers, one of which cost $350. Now, this was 20 years ago, John.
Oh my
You know, that's
God.
like $1,000 inhaler, which I was nervous about because how can I afford this for the rest of my life? They told me to be with you for the rest of your life, but they didn't diagnose me with asthma. It was weird. So when I wasn't a smoker, I had developed a breathing problem to such a degree, and okay. And so then Pete died, I started smoking again. I did not need the inhalers anymore. The smoking cigarettes took away the breathing problem I was having. It's very odd because it should have been the reverse,
Yeah.
right? I continued smoking for many years. When I met Chris, he smoked, so did I, so it wasn't an issue. I also began smoking pot. I remember there was a period when I would lie in bed and cough for very long periods of time. That eventually stopped. I think it was a part popping up, which was smoke. I believe I quit for about 3 months. Throughout my marriage with Chris, I quit smoking 8 times, anywhere from a week to 3 months, but I always went back. Finally, I waited for Chris to go on a weekend road trip with our neighbor. I would have 3 days alone. That would give me the time I needed to go through the worst part without having to deal with Chris and his drinking. I was worried that to have me try to stop smoking and be tense and nervous and whatever would, it just wouldn't work. This was shortly after his heart attack. I was sitting in the waiting room when he was having his stent put in, watching the medical television running. Was talking about women had the higher risk of heart attack from smoking. I was sitting there worried about him having his stent put in, yet this television was telling me I was at risk. So I started riding a bike then too, but I still smoked, John. I would ride my bike, we'd
Yeah.
stop,
No, that's right. That
take a
makes
break and
sense.
smoke.
That makes sense.
So I spent that week not smoking. I was having the anxiety and withdrawals and all that, but I did it. I quit smoking for 8 years, the longest ever. So the first time I quit, 4 years in Dallas, I was in the tub choosing between life and death. The second time I was in Scientology in California, couldn't afford it. After the rape, I remember Dave from Dallas came to California for some training for a short time. He was my friend in the church in Dallas. He was a smoker. We were walking back from that same blue building back to the same celebrities, the same path, the same thing had done when I was raped. I asked him for a cigarette. He was surprised because he did not know I was a smoker. I told him I had smoked for years and years. I believe I just had one or two, and that was because I couldn't afford it. But I believe if I had the money, I would have been right back there.
Oh,
So I left Scientology. I was back in Dallas for 4 months, then back to California with Harrow's. Several months later, I began working at Best Buy. I got my apartment in Canoga Park. Oh, and I realized, I'm going to write this down too. Canoga Park. Um, oh, you don't know about this one. I was raped again.
oh gosh.
I'm getting images of being raped in the hallway of my apartment complex late at night. It was my neighbor, exactly right next to me. And it hit me after this that I believe he's a handler somehow, keeping an eye on me. I used to go rollerblading at the beach and in Burbank. He saw me in my exercise clothes once. Like, it was like an hour drive just to go do this. Short and sweet, says Kitten, just
Oh,
like before. No big deal. That man raped me, but he did the thing that my dad did, the Three Stooges
yeah, yeah,
snap, snap, pop, right?
yeah.
Um, right after that, the victims, meaning all the little parts of me that were victims, came out, and I was scared. I was scared to go home now. I had signed a year lease, and I think this was after a few months. I got
Wow.
into my apartment and locked up. He was right next door. After that, I avoided him like the plague. I could not let myself be in his presence. I always rushed in and out. The
Yeah,
same thing with that Scientology guy. Remembered he did the snap pop thing, right? So no resistance, and then you forget it right after. That maybe that's what it is. Snap, snap, pop. Do it, forget, done. Whatever. So I began to smoke again. Columbine happened. Best Buy promoted me, sent me to Palmdale. I didn't believe I was safe anywhere. Kitten says, just wait. I quit again for a short time. That's where I developed the breathing problem where I needed the inhalers. But when Pete killed himself, I started smoking again and there was no need for them. So the thought of death, a rape, another rape, an actual death caused me to start and stop at those times. And now I'm remembering this SRA, which is full of rape and death, and I'm smoking again.
yeah.
So, and this is just an entry about Angie and Mary Heather. I didn't have to mow the lawn because I had allergies and they didn't. I would wheeze really badly. And then this is where Smoke showed me her memories. Oh my goodness, I just had a memory of a bag placed over my head. Now, this is the
Unbelievable.
night I'm coughing up a lung, can't sleep. I remember struggling for breath and being terrified of dying, uh, which reminds me of the tub, smoke or die, breathe in the smoke or die. Which I'm sure not both of them would kill. Anyway, I was tied to a chair in the basement. Dad put a plastic bag over my head. I was looking at him through the plastic. It was starting to stick to my face, and I was panicking. He enjoyed trying to kill me. It was for my own good, he said. I would thank him later. He was working on pins, the one where he'd stick pins in my skin. He was splitting me. Oh, and I think you said you read all this. Um, Yeah, and this was where he was I think reading cards and doing hand signals and stuff. But yeah, I was still tied and bent over. I'm tied to this chair and I'm like bent over trying to get my breath. And that's when Scratchy came and see he wanted to rip his eyes out. I thought that was fascinating. The eyes, my eyes, I was scratching my eyes.
Oh,
I spent a long time bent over, tied up, coughing. Once I settled down and caught my breath, he let me go. I wanted to murder him. He
yeah,
just egged me on. He was expecting that reaction and he used it. And so I think that's part of the programming
yeah, yeah.
or conditioning.
That's right.
This was Wolf's training change. She was to become something else. I think it was to instill that murderous rage so you
That's
could
right.
go out and be an assassin.
Yeah.
Dad was splitting me for that.
Yeah,
Dad was in and out of that.
he forced it to be misdirected.
Yeah, he was in and out of that SRA box doing it. I just found an image of the box online and I have stabbing pains in my lower back now, pretty intense. So the curse with the knives. I haven't had any of those pains for like 20 or 30 years.
Tell me again. So, what about the stabbing in the lower back? What do you think it's
Oh,
associated?
my grandmother, this was what I read on my video yesterday, these entries. During the very first satanic ritual, my grandmother gave me and my three sisters a curse. Angie's curse was to have a den of vipers inside of her. Should she talk, they would eat her alive. Mary's was to be torn apart limb from limb by horses. And so when Mary would get uppity at home or rebellious, Dad would call her horse. And that was when the Mr. Ed show was on, or he watched it and he would say, "Oh, horse is a horse, of course, of course." The theme song to Mr. Ed, and
Yeah.
she'd line right up.
Oh,
And mine was to be stabbed by 1,000 daggers. And so when I was in my 20s and remembered the sexual abuse was when I used to feel daggers in my back, 2 or 3, usually one at a time, but there was a time when I felt like 3 or 4. So my part was stabbed to
I wonder if
stop
they ever
remembering.
kind of poked you, just like the thing you went through at the castle.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even connect those. Maybe that's why they did
They're
that. They
cursing
knew
you,
they
and
were
so they're
programmed.
poking you while they're doing it. So now it's associated with
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of
for your
that.
sister, the limbs are being pulled. I wonder if like put her on the rack or something.
Well, and she has deep vein thrombosis. And I thought, well, if you take a
Okay.
vein and you stretch it out,
Right,
it's,
because all the more, because curse is just,
I know it's the parts creating your
yeah, but
bodily
if
symptom.
they're harming you while they're saying this curse, then,
Oh, I
and
have no doubt. Yeah.
given what you said they did with the lampreys and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
to her,
Well,
I
and Angie, I remember a couple years ago, when I was helping her with her shop, her neck was really bothering. Her neck is just terrible. And I had her lay down on her bed and I was massaging her shoulders and necks from underneath. And she said, "God, Diana, it just feels like I have just snakes in there."
let's see.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. So that was that.
Wonder if they already, yeah, he already said it, put you in a vat with snakes on it, and
Oh, that's the SRA thing
it's
then.
just unbelievable.
I
Un,
know. I know.
and
It's
you're,
disgusting.
yeah, you're a walking miracle.
I think we all are. My God. I'm just when I listen to other people's stories, I'm like, God, God may not have pulled it physically saved us in that moment, but he put those parts inside and kept us alive. Yeah, the dissociation was the tool used, not tool or tech, whatever, the gift that the perps used that gift from God against us. But now here we all are as adults. And if we can get these parts conscious to grow up and be a
Yeah.
part of us, we are, like you said, his special ops force.
Oh yeah. You're an talk about right? An
Yeah.
army of one.
Well, and not just that, but if there's, I heard someone put a statistic out there that there's like 52 million of us right now. I'm sure 3/4 of them are women, but I'm like, carry a
Somebody,
lot,
somebody,
hey, don't
somebody ran
retire
some
your
numbers on
foot.
52 million.
Yeah, I don't know how they calculated, but I think they took a small sample size and extrapolated it over years, and that was just the United States. And it was I think it was a woman actually, and I think the person interviewing her said, you know, that's a voting block, you know,
Oh,
and that's when it hit me. I'm like, that's 1/6 of our population. 1/6 of our population is SRA, and that's just a guess. So that's mind blowing. And I think that SRA box training for the non-victimized children in public school were trained to accept certain abuses through society, through music, through TV, through, whatever. That's just a guess for me. What else would they program the general public with? Because if you've got a satanic controlling elite, they need to program everyone, not just their victims. I mean, which would make everyone a victim. But, a lot of people say that the COVID thing that went on was a worldwide satanic ritual. And so, how do you get the whole population of the world there? Well, start in the 70s and let's put this box in the school and let's train you that abuse is okay, and let's train you to look the other way. Let's train you to make excuses. The same
yeah,
thing our parts do.
yeah,
So, you got, 9/11 and,
yeah.
COVID and JFK and all these traumas. Alan was talking about it in the video I did. I rewatched it about you and Cameron and psychic driving. And he says, you remember on the news when NASCAR used to have those terrible crashes? And they'd play them over and over and over on the news from this angle, from that angle, from this angle, and the announcer would have this excited voice. He said that was training the audience to be a victim. They were giving you psychic driving. He said they did the same thing with 9/11, the same thing with every major disaster. Katrina, he talked about Katrina and how he said they showed you helicopters going over with people on roofs, and the helicopters didn't drop anything. They didn't stop. They didn't pick it. They just show you the helicopters hovering. They were training you to be a victim. And so I just kind of twigged on it as we're talking. Maybe that's what the box in the public school was a precursor, because you know how they start off small and they build and they build and they build and they build.
Well, yeah, no, but Diana, I also can see that if you have a kid such as yourself, it's being split,
Jesus. Yeah.
and the only safe place potentially is school. So now you
Oh,
go to school and
right.
there's the box.
And you're triggered. Oh,
Okay,
right.
so that means it's
Don't
in your
talk to the
classroom the whole
teacher.
time, every single classroom you go to.
I didn't even think of that.
And,
Yeah. And
and then
you're not going to talk to your friends,
you're not going to talk to anybody.
teacher, nurse, nobody.
And then they can see, this is interesting. Then the perps can see how well a kid is doing, right? Because all these kids are
Got the
taught you better,
records there.
and you better get an A. You better not talk. You better do well. And so now they can see how well these kids are progressing. The
Right.
school's giving them information
Fascinating.
as to, are
Yeah.
the kids keeping it together?
Yeah, I never got a call back from my elementary school either when I called for my transcripts. I mean, they keep those, don't they?
That
They're
I don't know how
50
for,
years old. Yeah.
I don't know for how long.
Yeah. So, I mean, and if they were doing that, maybe those records were purged and the others weren't. I don't know.
I mean, it would be effective in and of itself.
Hmm.
Obviously, they were doing something with it, but if a kid walks in and there's the box.
Yeah, I guess you didn't see any Emma shows on that. It's the shows about oh, the gifted and talented schools. That's a GATE program,
Yeah.
right? And I guess there's several other names for these different kind of gifted and talented programs
I
where
mean, I've watched just,
apparently,
one or two.
yeah, where they would either have them at a completely different
Yeah, it
school,
didn't sound like a lot of fun.
or they would pull children out of their public school classroom for an hour or two, because in kindergarten you have the same teacher. I think throughout all the grades you have the same teacher all day.
Yeah.
They'd pull them out of class for either an hour, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 hours, put them in a building with, like, they called them trailers, with no windows, or the windows were blacked out. And that's where they were in there doing these machines. And a lot of people, this one girl Emma did a show recently where she went through her Twitter with all the responses, and everybody saying, yeah, I got a picture of that machine. I was thinking about it and looked it up. And somebody else, she goes, yeah, I remember the headphones with the high-pitched tones. And now she said she feels like she has water in her ears constantly, and she always has ringing in her ears. So there's all these different people putting pieces together on Emma's Twitter page. So Emma spent 2 hours just discussing the Twitter page. And it was with these SRA cards too. So God knows what they're doing in there. And Skinner's a part of this SRA box. So you've got what he did, behavioral conditioning. He also locked
Well,
his own daughter in a
Colin
cage.
Ross referenced him as being part of the CIA.
I wouldn't doubt it. I think all of them were. And if they weren't being paid by the CIA certainly got their information, their studies, their experiments. I mean, all these experiments around the world by all these different doctors and psychiatrists, everything got funneled up so that the controllers of the planet could figure out how to control the people of the planet. That's one thing that Alan discusses in these experiment series that I did. If you get a chance, check them out. I mean, it's not me, it's him talking about it. You know, so
Well,
it's educational. And I'm going to put that on my channel. So maybe, as I launch my channel, you could watch one a week, because that's what I'm going to do. The
okay.
parts want Pavlov to be first. There's just absolutely no question. I didn't start with Pavlov with Melissa, but they want Pavlov first and Skinner second, and you and Cameron third, because it's a different audience. And then, but there's 12 different ones. The last one, I'm not even sure, is an experiment. Melissa and I were, but it's called Star Suckers. It's a documentary done by the BBC about how stars are made and how the publicity, you can rent publicity. You can go out on a date and pay $300 per hour, you and your date, and you will have a swarm of paparazzi come around you like you're a celebrity or royalty or something, and they'll follow you around. And they show an example of this. And how the public just bow to them and they're nobody. How the public is trained to just be gobsmacked and bow to someone that they perceive is a star or important or a scientific person or this or that. And Alan talks about this documentary over and over and over. It's really quite brilliant. And they'll talk about the publicity and how, like, some controllers of the world might put out a press release on something, maybe the Department of Defense or this
I
university.
just thought I just thought of James Canner. He's gotten all this publicity. He's the one that's pushing legalization of pedophilia.
Oh, I watched your show last night, your Sunday show. I don't know if you mentioned him, but yeah.
I don't know if I did.
But Alan talks about that too. He's been
Yeah.
talking about that for
Because I
15
kept
years.
thinking, how's this guy getting such airplay? Well, here we
They've
go.
been priming the public for 15 years.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
been doing it through
Because
movies.
he's behind the reframing of it for minor attracted persons, and
I
now
know it's disgusting. Alan
now
goes
sex
into
offender
that.
treatment training. As a matter of fact, because the perps I'm battling online, and they've created a horrifically heinous narrative the past week and a half. My son just did a Father's Day video for me, what he remembers, and
Oh, how sweet.
so I'm putting that together to really counter the. It's like I've been slimed by the National Enquirer, so they put out some
Oh,
heinous
yeah.
stuff.
So what they'll do is they'll take that press release, which might be 10 paragraphs, they hand it to the news outlets, and depending on the demographic and the audience, liberal, conservative, young, old, whatever, they'll take one or two paragraphs from that and move it to that paper, and one or two move it to another. And it shows you in this video how they do it. So I'll send you the link to Starsucker.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's all about how that upper layer of the planet, whatever you want to call them, control the populations of the planet. And if at that level, they're all Luciferian, Satanists, whatever you want to call it. So it's training the public to become that way. It's putting it in movies, putting it in music. Alan was a musician. And he said he got out of the industry. He talks about, I don't want to go into all that, but he said that there came a point in the industry where you were no longer allowed to talk about boys and girls. You had to use something else. That it was shunned for them to write music and say, my girlfriend, my boyfriend, or a girl speaking about a boyfriend, or a man speaking about a girlfriend, that they had to say my baby, right? My baby. You're talking about a girlfriend, she's my baby. And if you noticed in culture now, women talk about their husbands being their daddies. Have you noticed that? Especially in the Black world. But they'll say, oh, he's my daddy. He's your father. Or he's your husband. He's not your I don't say baby ever. I've never had, I do to Dixie. She's my baby. But I would never dream of saying that to Chris. That's been around for like 10 or 20 years. But through the music industry, and I think in particular hip hop and the Black culture, and that's moved out, they have changed the language so as to train the population. You don't have a boyfriend anymore, you got a baby. You don't have a girlfriend anymore, she's your hoe, your bitch, right? One of my parts was called bitch, and that was the sex slave. I wish you had the time to go through Alan's talks. You would be gobsmacked. Your entire worldview will change.
I will. Yeah, that's on my to-do list.
It will take you years. He has over 1,800 audio talks. And in COVID, he went from a 1 hour show to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 hour shows because it was just so much. And then he passed away of a heart attack in his sleep. Yeah, so you don't know if the big guys up there zapped him with a heart attack because they can do that, you know? But he's talked about how he's had phosphorus bombs drop down his chimney. Not a bomb,
Oh,
but a phosphorus like grenade. So it hit the bottom and spew crap out into his house. Yeah, and how he's had cars sitting out. He had a really super long driveway, and they would sit at the end of it just watching to intimidate him. And he said, finally, I just went out there with some coffee and said, "You're going to be here anyway. Would you like some coffee?" He said they took off like lightning. He just confronted him. So if you're going to be here, let's meet face to face. They wouldn't do it. So yeah. He's had lots of experience. I asked Melissa, she said, "Oh my God, you have no idea how many." He didn't even scratch the surface on when he talked about it. So, and she didn't really go into it either when I pressed her. But yeah, he's a font of knowledge, a font. And he goes back into the sun worship and the connection with the old pagan gods, and because the sun was life for everyone. And the rulers back then, 4,000 years ago or whatever, used that and gave it a name and gave it a shape and said, "This is the sun." And the pharaoh is the god and his son is now God. And sun and son, he teaches you about how they play with letters and language and the sound of things, and how you can say, like, sun. Are you saying son or sun? The Son of God being Jesus. He said, are they referring to the sun? Not that Jesus is Lucifer, because Melissa and Alan never revealed his Christianity. I didn't even know he was a Christian. Melissa said he follows the way and the truth and the light. He's God's warrior. But he doesn't subscribe to any religion. And his tagline, his sign-off line was, "May your God or your gods go with you," because I think he wanted to reach everyone. And by saying, "Be blessed," it would bounce people off in a way. Because what he gave out was about the whole world, about every religion he could get his hands on, the history of it, and not just religion, but every other thing in the world. It's mind-blowing what he knows. And yeah, just how they use that down through time to control populations and the different ways they do it. And every scientific research ever, he said, "Why do you think they call it research?" Because they've already done the searching, so you are doing it again. They want to confirm it. They want to make sure it's right. They want to make sure it's not changing. Right? So you're researching. And he said the searching is done at the highest levels, and they filter it down to what they think the lower levels can take, and they research it again. He said, they direct and control all, like the foundations, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Fords, all of them fund all the universities. And they won't let you do your own line of research. The only research you can do is along the lines that they want you to do, because they can't allow anything spontaneous or something that they don't know about to come into existence. It's just a super tight level of control. And so extrapolate that out into the medical industry, the judicial system, the everything at the highest levels is the ultimate control. And when I was doing my Baphomet entry, that's what he was saying. Is, "I know all, I see all, I am God." That's how they perceive themselves at the top. And they do it this way because they don't have God, the real God's omnipresence and omniscience. Do you know what I mean? So they have to do it through all these
yeah.
worldly ways. And yeah, I didn't think I was going to go there today.
Well, it's,
Alan talking to you.
right, but that's good. And more of it solidifying for you as far as what you're going to be addressing and how to integrate all this. But
And that's what I want the SRA people to know is that, yeah, there's this world we were all trapped in, but it's the microcosm of the bigger picture. And I think if people can get the bigger picture, they can look in their microcosm, understand what they're seeing. And then once they see that, they can look out again and go, oh shit, we need to get our armor on for God and get ready for this battle. Because like that ex-Scotland Yard guy that Emma interviewed, he said, things are, they're going to pop off. That's why God's getting his army together. That's why these criminals are becoming saved, because God needs hard men. And when I had Chris watch that clip, Chris, oh yeah, I know. I already know. And I just thought he was talking out his ass for all these years, but I'm finally getting it. Shit is coming down on a worldwide scale. And COVID was just the start. 9/11 started and it was more impactful for us, but it changed the laws across the world. And now COVID happens worldwide, and that changed things. I don't know if you know about the World Health Organization, but they're trying to pass an amendment, I think they call it, which if you're a member state, it applies to your country. That if they deem anything a threat, they now control your country. So it's taking more sovereignty away from nations. I mean, we're not sovereign. The minute we signed on to the United Nations in 48 or something, we lost our sovereignty. All we'd have to do is say, we're out, we're done. And they can't influence us, but they've placed people at the upper levels that are never going to get out. Like Obama and Clinton and, all the people who run all the major foundations. Alan used to say, Adam Weishaupt, there's a quote of Adam Weishaupt saying something along these lines of, give me the control of the foundations and I will control the world. Because the foundations feed the money where they want the money to go, and they can.
Just money laundering, that's all.
Yeah, but it's also control.
Yeah.
Go to university. No, you're not going to study that. We're not going to pass you. You're not going to get a degree unless you do this.
Sure.
Right? And that's why your schooling didn't teach certain things, because they don't want you to know. They don't want us to get help. Because if we get help, we can point at them.
There you go. There you go.
With 56 million of us in one country alone. Imagine worldwide. What is there? 500 million of us? What would that do to the awareness level of the rest of the public? They would. Alan used to always put this quote out there too, is by Bush Jr. He said, if they knew what we were doing, they'd chase us down the streets with ropes in their hands, meaning they'd hang us. They all know if the public find out what they're up to, they're done. So they've got to keep us dumb and stupid, which is what our perps in our head do to our parts, keep us
right.
dumb and stupid. So all that
Or
17 years.
silent and compliant.
Yes, yes. I know we're at the noon mark. So I don't know if you want to go any further into stuff.
I guess I do have a client after this, but Diane, you're doing phenomenal work, and now you're doing the videos. So let's.
Yeah, I got 4 more to do. My parts wanted to do in this morning, and it took like a good hour before oh geez, we got Jon today. So I said, well, there's the afternoon. So yeah, I think we might launch by July 4th. I don't know. But a week ago, that was a no-go. But I have 6 videos already. I only need 4 more.
Tremendous work.
Yeah,
Well, let me pray.
All right.
Mark's got his hand on you. Let me keep
And tremendous work for you too. I'm love watching the trance, unmasking the trance, because you get mad. You're like a dog with a
Well,
bone.
I do get a little intense sometimes.
That show about the library, somebody made a joke, and the one guy was real lighthearted, and the moderator guy, he was real lighthearted, but you're just sitting there. You were just it's like
I'm
he's
telling
not
you,
screwing around,
I know that's right. I
Yeah.
figure if we're going to
So,
be talking about the topics, we got to use it effectively.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So we can pray.
Right. Lord, thank you that Diana and I can work together. And Lord, thank you for preserving her, for your hand of protection and over all these years. And Lord, thank you that you recorded in both Isaiah 59 and 63 how you are rageful. Lord, help even Black Brother on the inside to know that you are rageful on behalf of everyone, every part that was harmed by these perps. So, Lord, empower them to be able to put the videos out, to work together as a team, because the gates of hell will not prevail against us. So thank you that we don't have to be on defense. We can go on offense. Lord, there's so many kids that are being harmed. So continue to give Diana wisdom and insight as she is preparing for her channel. And just continue to be with us in our sessions so that additional dots can be connected. And thank you again. And keep your hand upon Chris. Continue to draw him to yourself. Lord, give him insight into his own pain so that he can finally direct it where it belongs. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then we'll talk to you Friday.
Okay, I'll send you those sketches.
Oh, good, good.
And I think I got 6 or 7 links here. I'm gonna bombard you.
Good. No, do it.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll talk on Friday then. Thank
There you
you.
go. I'll look forward to it.
Okay. Bye.